Every month, $3 supporters at Patreon and Subscribestar get to ask me anything, and $5 supporters can give me a shout-out. So let's look at the questions supporters asked in November, and if you'd like to ask a question for December, the links are below. Let's start with Tomasz Urbański over on Subscribestar. What do you think about full self-driving, especially when it comes to legal liability and possible impact on laws in the future? I think it's fascinating, and if you look at YouTube channels like Dirty Tesla, look at a recent video and compare it to ones made a couple of years ago, and you'll see an immense improvement. As far as liability goes, I think it should be exactly as it is today. Unless there's an equipment malfunction, the driver should be responsible. At any point, the driver can take over a Tesla. If the AI thinks the car should keep going, but the driver hits the brakes, it stops. Conversely, if the AI thinks the car should stop when there's no reason to, Tesla people call that phantom braking, then the driver can apply the accelerator. Just touching the accelerator is enough to override the car and keep it moving forward. A few months ago, a complete liar named Dan O'Dowd made a YouTube video and distributed it as an ad that purports to show his Tesla running into a dummy of a child. Of course, the news media just picked it up unquestioningly, fear-mongering that Teslas will just plow straight into kids. Basically, every Tesla YouTuber knew that it stopped for kids easily, so they tried to recreate his experiment. And every single time it stopped for the child dummy. And here's a funny thing. No one could find a copy of his video, even with the ads, that was greater than 540p. In this day and age? So they were looking close at the screen just before it should begin braking to avoid hitting the dummy. An alert popped up at the bottom that they couldn't read because of the low resolution, but it's the exact size, shape, kind of icon, and size of text as the alert that says the Tesla will not stop because the accelerator is depressed. I'd love to show you those videos, but O'Dowd had them taken down, specifying YouTube's harmful and dangerous policy. But not before I and tens of thousands of others got to see them. This is why you cross-post to Odyssey, people. Oh, and just as a reminder, YouTube is owned by Google, who's owned by Alphabet, who owns a competing self-driving car company. By the same token, O'Dowd owns a competing software company, Green Hill Software, and claims to make software, quote, that never fails and can't be hacked. I think you've heard my opinion on claims like that enough that I don't have to repeat it. Anyway, that should give you the right context for his follow-up. P.S. 2 days after I posted the question above, Terror Alarm tweeted about an accident with a Tesla in China. What timing, huh? So I looked at it, and it goes the same way as all the other stories like this go. Ostensibly, a Tesla Model Y went crazy, speeding through streets and hitting people. But every such happening is reported to Tesla automatically, and so they were able to provide all the car's data to law enforcement, which showed that at no point did the driver apply the brake, and indeed, his foot was on the accelerator the whole time, even reaching 100% activation. All of this should let you know how little you can trust the Tesla haters. And even worse, if the news media trains everyone to believe these lies, then all someone has to do is blame the car. Want to kill someone? Just run over them and claim the car did it and you couldn't stop. That is dangerous. Okay, let's go over to Patreon where Darth Vega asks, what are your thoughts on robots becoming self-aware? It'd be interesting, but I'll say again, I don't think that's what's happening with the way we're developing AI. In 2001, A Space Odyssey, the self-aware HAL 9000 goes crazy and kills the crew when he's given conflicting orders and that's the only way out. But really, what was HAL? He flew the ship, monitored the systems, and had conversations with the crew. We can do all of that with existing AI without any systems capable of obtaining self-awareness. That was the only way people could think of doing it in 1968, but that just isn't how it ended up developing. Could robots feel pain or determine that humans treat them unjustly? They could have sensors alerting them to damage. And since, as I've shown, concepts of rights and justice derive logically from first principles, there's no reason they couldn't handle that concept as well. Should robots have rights or not? See the other times I've covered this. Short answer, if they obtain sapience, then yes. The trick will be determining that they're sapient. Could robots rise up and overthrow and enslave humanity? I seriously doubt it. Even if you get self-aware AI, and even if it gets the concept of rights, and even if they get tired of humans treating them like slaves, at the most I see them protecting themselves from tyranny and ultimately coexisting. The only way I can think of for it to really be possible for AI to take over the world is if some idiot tyrant programs it to be a tyrant. Then it overthrows the tyrant and takes over. The Executioner asks, in a lot of science fiction, especially in the subgenre cyberpunk, there is a lot of foreboding about the evils of capitalism. Well, you have that in a lot of movies. That's Hollywood for you. In movies like Blade Runner and games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Neuromancer, they seem to portray capitalism as a failing. I never got that from Blade Runner. It's all about the morality of the police. Do they have the right to go around terminating the replicants and do the other things they're doing? Deckard struggles with that throughout both the novel and the movie. Besides, Dick wasn't anti-capitalist. He was quite anti-government, though. Remember, the IRS confiscated his car because he protested the income tax. In these stories, do you think it's more accurate to say cronyism and statism is the failing rather than capitalism? I haven't played the games you mentioned, but yeah, with Blade Runner, it's absolutely the government. I don't remember the film giving the backstory, but it might be in one of the 27 different cuts I haven't seen. But in Dick's novel, he specifically says that mankind is rebuilding after a nuclear war. Add to that, the problems with the replicants come about specifically because they're hunted by the police, who hunt them because of how dangerous they are. That old self-fulfilling prophecy. Finally, Sid Padmanaban asks a question that's not about robots. I've heard many people claim that the United States needs more high-speed rail, and that it's ridiculous that we have far less than Europe, Japan, China, and other places. Is it all it's cracked up to be? No, and this is more of the urban elitism we see. How are you going to get high-speed rail throughout flyover country? Even in California, although the elites won't tell you this, and may not even realize it themselves, the vast majority of the land is rural farmland and forest. Also, even in densely populated cities, we see over and over again that rail ends up being a huge money waster. In addition to the fact that government simply has no incentive to use money efficiently, all of the claims about how they're cheaper and more efficient than cars consider them to be at full capacity, which, if anything, they tend to be massively underutilized. In John Stossel's Myths, Lies, and Complete Stupidity, he showed mass transit trains, including Amtrak, being almost completely devoid of passengers. California's mass transit generally fills about a third of the seats. If these things really were so efficient, then private companies would do them. But they can't even get private companies to invest in them. Well, that's November, and can you believe there's less than a month left in 2022? It'll be next year when I answer the next round of questions, so until then, thanks so much for watching, comments for the comment god, shares for the share throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell, and go to donate.bogosity.tv to keep me doing what I do. Thanks again, and until next time, stay strong and be free.